One of my favorite types of videos this time of year in the gaming space is the end of the year ranking list. So I figured I'd throw my own little list into the mix as someone who returned to gaming this year. To give you a little insight into my perspective, prior to 2025, the last console I bought was an Xbox 360, and the last video game I bought was probably sometime around 2014. Coming back to gaming this year after about a decade away has been a bit of a shock to the system, mostly in a good way, with a few little exceptions. If I sound a little naive, a little bit late to the party, or like someone who's been unthawed after being frozen for a decade, it's kind of because I am. I'm going to focus mostly on games that released this year, but also talk about a few older games that stood out to me as well. I figured we'd start with the good stuff. Let's go through my top 5 games of 2025. Kicking off the list at number 5 is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Entirely predictable. I avoided it for a long time. My inner hipster dodged it because of all the hype. I didn't want to play it because it was everywhere. It was too popular and too trendy. But, well, now that I've played it, I get it. I understand why this is on so many people's lists and why it's won so many awards. Now, the actual mechanics of this game, as far as the combat and movement, isn't really my favorite. I felt like the dodge and parry controls made it feel like a rhythm game or a reflex test, which isn't really my jam, but the rest of the sum of its parts totally make up for Expedition 33's shortcomings and make it stand out for me. The story, its world, its characters, they're just beautifully made. The whole thing just feels very French and artsy, the Belle Epoque vibes, all the gold, the deep colors. The soundtrack might even be better than the game itself, and the way it just all works together so cohesively reminds me of a theater show or an art exhibit. It's so thoughtfully made. French is my second language, so to be able to play something with French voice acting was really cool, and the French actors deserve all the praise the English voice actors get and more. The opening scenes of this game absolutely just punched me in the face with beauty. I was speechless and I was hooked. Is the story and gameplay perfect? No, but it is a standout game. Something really special, and I can't wait to see what else it inspires or what this team does next. Up next on my list of my favorite games of this year is Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. This was my first ever Story of Seasons games, and wow, what a place to start. It has everything that you could possibly want in a farming sim, and the addition of the bazaar mechanic kept things from feeling monotonous. Other than just having a very engaging and satisfying gameplay loop that kept me playing for just one more day after one more day, performance is also phenomenal on PC. It has excellent voice acting and interesting characters. The art, the ambient sounds, the music, voice acting are all top notch and make Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar very immersive. I have to say though, I find it very funny that I see a lot of people saying this game is a game they play to relax, because for me, the game gets me really hyper focused and wound up, locked in, and Bazaar Day makes me sweat. You really don't need another farming sim, in my opinion. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar is pretty close to perfect. Number 3 on my favorite games of 2025 is Rune Factory Guardians of Azima. This game combines everything I love in one game: voice acting, interesting and engaging characters, simple but fun combat, lots of exploration, and an enjoyable story. Plus, it is absolutely beautiful to look at. Probably my pick for the most stunning game I played this year. I love whatever this art style is called. It also runs perfectly graphics and performance-wise on PC. Not only does Guardians of Azima look good, it's also a lot of fun. I don't even know how you'd classify this game, but it's got everything I like. I like the combination of adventure and exploration, dating and romance, as well as farming, decorating, and town building and management. All the types of games I love smushed into one polished package. Coming in at number 2 on my list of the best games I played in 2025 is Trails in the Sky First Chapter Remake. My first ever Trails game, my first ever JRPG, and probably one of maybe 3 video games to ever make me cry. Trails in the Sky was a very close contender for my favorite game of 2025. I've made a bunch of videos on my experience with this game already, so I'll keep it on the shorter side. This game is something special. The gorgeous graphics, the characters who I've come to love so much, the story, the world building, the soundtrack, the combat system that made me not hate turn-based games, and an ending that hits like the emotional equivalent of a 2x4 to the face. There's just so much about this game I love. I could talk about it for hours, but I'll spare you. Just go play it yourself or check out my other videos on it. It is really that good. The announcement of the second chapter remake has given me something to look forward to in 2026. Trails in the Sky First Chapter Remake has introduced me to a whole new series and a new world of games, which is what a good remake should do. And now for my favorite game of 2025, Fantasy Life I, the Girl Who Steals Time. I have almost 150 hours in this game. It completely consumed the summer evenings for me. I never played the original Fantasy Life, and that's probably a good thing because this game is dangerously addictive. Do not let the cute graphics fool you, it will steal your life away. If I had to pick only one game to play on a deserted island for a year, it would be Fantasy Life I. It's got the perfect combination of simple controls, fun but not frustrating combat, cute graphics, fun crafting, and lots of exploration. Something about leveling up all the different classes was just like catnip to me. I could not get enough. I am a fiend for this game. The multiplayer is also actually fun, and I'm someone who hates multiplayer anything. There's also a ridiculous amount of content in this game. After you finish the main story, you can work on decorating your base, working your way through all the randomly generated dungeons, or leveling up and exploring all the secrets of the huge open world map, which is separate from the main story map. I don't even know how else to describe why Fantasy Life I is so addictive and so fun. Best game of 2025 for me, and the fact I'm still popping in to play this game here and there like half a year later says something. I love Fantasy Life I. On the other hand, there are a few games in 2025 that were really not good, and which also led me to some realizations on the state of gaming in 2025. The first realization was that I've fallen out of love with cozy games, and this realization was brought to us by Tales of the Shire. I did a whole video on Tales of the Shire, so I don't want to get into it too much here. I love the Lord of the Rings and Tolkien's world, so this game caught my eye and I had really high hopes. The game ran horribly, was boring, ugly, and the gameplay loop was completely surface level and repetitive. This is an example of a really bad game coasting on beloved IP and misleading influencer marketing. This is a game that made me fall out of love with cozy games and unsubscribe from the majority of cozy game content creators. I will say it did help me to open my mind to other genres of games, so there's that, I guess. The second realization I came to on the state of gaming in 2025 is that the life sim genre as I knew it is dead. This realization came to me through Inzoi. Inzoi is a life simulation game that released in early access in 2025. It looked like it had the potential to be a replacement for the Sims franchise. And as someone who was a huge fan of the Sims 1, 2, and 3 back in the day, I bought Inzoi in early access and was initially excited to see how it would progress through development. To me, competition is important in any industry, especially with how buggy and expensive The Sims 4 is right now. Unfortunately, with each update, there hasn't been anything to keep me coming back to playing this game. The game is more focused on aesthetic, taking cute screenshots, and the life simulation part just isn't progressing in the way I had hoped. It was really expensive, too. I have pretty much come to terms with the fact that the life sim genre really isn't for me anymore as someone who values the simulation part over aesthetics. I don't think I'm the demographic that these games are made for anymore, so it's time for me to move on from sim-style life sims. My next gaming realization of 2025 is that there are no good girly games, and this comes by way of Infinity Nikki. I love girly things and girly games. I love a good dress-up game. There weren't many in the past, and there sadly doesn't seem to be many now. I was initially drawn to Infinity Nikki because I thought finally something really feminine with a focus on dressing up, a beautiful open world game that is unapologetically girly. I was so excited. I gave it a try, but I don't really like gachas. I don't judge grown adults who play gacha games. That's your choice. But what I really don't like is how these games are completely unregulated. They absolutely should not be accessible or advertised to young people with developing brains. Infinity Nikki made me really sad that even with all the innovation and progress in the gaming industry, the best and really only girly game option we have is a gacha. I bailed on Infinity Nikki after the horrendous 1.5 update. I can't imagine it's gotten any better for players because, well, it's a gacha. That's not how it goes. A tale as old as time. Infinity Nikki just made me really sad and disappointed in realizing the lack of options for feminine girly games. Clearly, there's an audience for this type of game based on the success of Infinity Nikki, but the best we can do is a gacha? I really wanted to love Nikki, but I just can't. Now, next up, I want to talk about a few games that were not released in 2025, but I played for the first time this year that deserve a little bit of a special mention. First up is Stardew Valley. This was the game that got me back into gaming and kicked off this whole journey for me. Gameplay is calming and addictive. It's one of the few games that's held my attention long enough to play across multiple saves. This game brought me so much joy. I love the characters and their stories. I love the art. I love the soundtrack. I played it blind the first time without wikis or guide, and it was such a special experience. I wish I could go back and play Stardew Valley for the first time again. I love the Stardew community too. I have connected with so many different people online and in real life about this game, and it's one of those games for life for me. I see myself playing this game probably at least once a year for the future. Next up is Witcher 3. I don't think I need to tell you guys too much about this game. The Witcher 2 was one of my favorites back in the Xbox 360 days, so I was obviously quite intrigued by The Witcher 3 once I had a computer that could run it. It came on sale on Steam for $5 this year, so obviously I had to check it out. It completely blew me away. There's not much else that hasn't been said about The Witcher 3. It's really as good as people make it out to be. It's beautiful, it's immersive, it's well written. It has everything I look for in an adventure RPG type game. Next up is a mixed bag of games in the Atelier series. I played Atelier Ryza 1 and 2, Atelier Sophie 2, and Atelier Liddy and Suelle. Atelier is my new favorite series. I love each game that I've played so far. The characters, the addictive alchemy, the whole gameplay loop, the exploration, the low stakes stories, the pretty art, the cute characters, some of the best crafting in any game I've ever played. I can't stop buying and playing Atelier games. These are the perfect combination of cozy games that have substance and rewarding gameplay. Atelier is one of those series that I didn't really hear too much about. I think they are underrated games and a hidden gem of a series I think deserves more love. Next up is Trails in the Sky second chapter. This was one of those happy discoveries, a game I never would have seen myself playing that I ended up loving. After playing the Trails FC remake in September, I just had to move on to second chapter, and it just happened to be on sale. The story is just as engaging without the modern touches of the remake. However, it does show its age a bit in terms of the combat and the lack of some quality of life features. That being said, I would definitely recommend it to anyone who started with the first chapter remake to at least give it a try and don't dismiss it just because it's old and it doesn't have the flashy graphics. Well, that's it on today's video on the best and worst games I played in 2025. I would love to hear your best and worst games in the comments section. Other than that, I appreciate you. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.